Hello, everyone, and welcome to the June class of Future Leaders. My name is Zach Hewells. I'm the Director of Membership at NAIFA, and I have with me one of our NAIFA rock stars, John D. Richardson from NAIFA-Tennessee. John is going to be sharing just a little bit about understanding the industry and sort of how getting started a career in financial services um, can really be a great opportunity and a great avenue. So I don't want to waste any more time getting to it, but I just want to say if you would like to turn on your camera and make this a little more interactive, we can do that as well. But yeah, without further ado, John, floor is yours.
Zach, thank you so much. It is truly an honor and privilege to be joining you guys actually from our nation's capital. I'm here in Washington, D.C. I just wrapped up a company event just over the river here. And yeah, it's really cool to actually do this from NAIFA's National Home Office. And so, by the way, here's the deal. For those folks who are watching this later, great. Sorry you didn't get to join us in person, but for those folks who are here, Pharrell and Isaiah, if you don't mind, turn on your camera so that I can have a conversation with you. I'm all about reading body language. And I don't know if my jokes are landing or not. Unless you're having a bad hair day. If you're having a bad hair day, then I get it. It's all good. But if not, if you could just flip your camera on, is that way I can have a conversation with you and we can make the most of our time together today. And I'll go ahead and wait a second. If you guys don't mind, that'd be great.
Yeah, so unfortunately my camera my laptop doesn't have a camera, so I'm using like a Logitech like external camera and it's not working, like it's flickering a lot, so I just turned it off.
Oh, okay. That's fair. All right, Isaiah, what's your excuse?
All right, sorry about that.
Sorry. No, I'm trying to,
Isa,
but yeah, I
Isa.
don't see the Issa. Yes, it's Issa. Um, Hold on, because I'm not sure the settings isn't letting me.
Yeah, bottom left corner, you click on the thing, looks like a camera. And
It looks like it's turned on, but it's not working. So it looks like it's just an
Yeah,
problematic.
I'm
well,
not sure.
y'all can see my face. You can see the bow
Yes,
tie, correct?
yes.
Okay, cool. So here's the deal. I'm going to, since I can't see y'all, I want to hope that you guys will interact with me verbally. Okay. So real
Okay.
quickly, before we jump in, just to give me a background, where are you guys in your journey, in your adventure? I like to know my audience and kind of like a level set expectation. So where are you guys coming from? Where do you live? How far are you into the understanding of what we do as financial professionals, that good stuff. So Issa, start with you.
Currently I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm in my senior year. I am a business administration and management major, and I just kind of joined to see what the discussion was about. So really, I don't have much that I'm expecting in the beginning, but I hope to learn something out of this.
Okay, perfect. And you go to the University of Houston?
No, so I'm currently going to St. Mary's University in San Antonio, but I'm here in Houston working for now.
Nice, nice. That's right. You guys are done for the year. May was, I guess, last month was last end
Yes.
of
Mhm.
school. So that makes sense. And it's Pharrell, is that right?
Yeah, Farrell.
Pharrell.
I'm currently in San Diego right now. I'm
Okay.
studying in the University of California, San Diego, and I'm not done yet with school, which sucks because I have a final exam like in about a week time. But yeah, I have the opportunity. I look it up to sign up for the NAIFA program, and I'm just here to learn more.
Well, you guys are both in the right place, and I'm going to give you my best. And I've been in a little bit about myself. Been in the business 19 years. I'm a fee-based financial planner from Brentwood, Tennessee. And like I said, I'm here in Washington, D.C. today. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the industry, talk about the different avenues in order to engage with this industry. NAIFA stands for the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. We are the largest in the U.S. and the biggest and the oldest financial services industry association, and so it's a Big Ten. So we got some people who they work with people in their cars and homes, making sure they're properly insured. We got some folks who do investments and investments only. Then we got folks who are like myself, who are in the insurance and investment space, and but it all starts with a plan. So my hope is that as I go through today's PowerPoint and share with you guys all the different avenues, you start to basically focus into which pathway you feel like you're the right fit for, because there's no wrong answer. You need to find one where a career, it can be very rewarding on many levels in many areas, but you want to make sure that what you do is aligning with your personal values to what's important to you. as well as you get energy from it. The last thing you want to do is have a career where you're doing something that's draining and versus building you up. Isa, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Carol, does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
cool. All right, so I'm glad you guys are engaging with me. Let's go ahead and jump on in. And so you guys should see my screen, and one second. Here we go. All right, you guys can see my screen. You see my face in the left corner?
Yes.
Okay, so like I said, I'm John Richardson. You guys are more than welcome to call me, with my family here at NAIFA, they call me JDR. And that's, of course, my 3 initials. And it's like everybody's got a nickname, right? Isa, did you have a nickname back in the day?
I did. Close family, friends, and relatives call me, I don't know how it even started, but they use Nini, N-I-N-I.
Okay.
I'm not sure where that came from, honestly, but mostly they use my name because it's only 4 letters. Isa is not.
That's awesome. And Farrell, how about you? Do you have a nickname that your closest friends call you?
For me, yeah, they just called me like my name, or they shortened it up so my name become FSG. I guess that's
FSG, all
about
right.
it.
Yeah, so you also are a TLA, a 3-letter acronym. There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Again, today we're going to talk about understanding the industry. It's all about you guys getting from a place where you're going from academia to the working world. And as a person who's, like I said, been doing this for 19 years, I'm just going to shoot you straight, give you my perspective, and then help you guys understand like the different avenues in which to come into it. By doing so, I'm going to share with you guys my career journey over these last 19 years, what the options are, the challenges that you'll face along the way, why financial planning is my career of choice and why I like financial planning. It may not be the best fit for you guys, but I'll just share my heart and why I do it, the process, and then I'll answer for questions. From time to time as I go through this presentation, if there's something that comes to mind, I'll be engaging you guys. So let's start from the beginning. So let me tell you a little bit more about myself and then how I got into this career. Isa, what's your major, by the way?
Yes, business management.
Okay, business management. All right. And Farrell?
I'm a economics and mathematics major.
Okay. Both you guys are somewhat in this space. I'm probably in the majority. If you ask most folks who are NAIFA members, what was their major in college? Most of them probably won't say finance or investments or insurance or risk management. What you'll hear is English or history, or, in my case, I majored in political science with a minor in Spanish. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would be doing this as a career. And actually, when I was in college, I had the best summer job a kid could have. I sold books and Bibles door to door. Not 1 summer or 2 summers, but I did it for 5 summers. Now, who in their right mind would sell anything door to door, especially these days, right? That'd be kind of crazy. Well, 1 summer is crazy enough, but to do it 5, you really got to know what you're doing or be crazy enough to do it. But what I discovered was this. I love talking to strangers. The fact that we're talking and we're going to become best friends during the Zoom time together. And then fast forward a year from now, you're going to come to a NAIFA conference. At FSG, you're going to walk up to me and you're going to be like, "What's up, JDR?" And I'm going to be like, "What's up, FSG?" And we're going to be like, well, we'll have this moment together. Isa, same thing with you. I'm going to see what's up, Nini, and we'll know each other because of this. We'll have our own little code. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I graduated from the University of Tennessee, moved back. That's which is in Knoxville. It's in the eastern part of the state of Tennessee, which is kind of wide and short. Moved to Nashville, which is my hometown, where I started in the business with John Hancock. So here I was, fresh out of college, wet behind the ears, they say, and I've got tons of enthusiasm and a drive, but I have very little knowledge about our industry. The guy that recruited me, he said, "John, you've got a lot of really strong, they're called soft skills, the ability to quickly connect with people, to go from a head level to a heart level conversation. That being said, you don't know much about insurance. So we're going to train you and teach you." So much like a person who goes to military boot camp, I went through a boot camp where I learned sales presentations on how to sell long-term care insurance. I learned how to get better at making phone calls. I was averaging about 100 to 150, at times 200 phone calls a day. Could you imagine somebody handing you an Excel spreadsheet with phone numbers and names, and you're just cold calling people who are they're 50 and older to schedule a meeting to drive out to their house with the intent of selling long-term care insurance. Well, that's what I did. And I lasted about 9 months because I was like, this is, I mean, I can sell books and Bibles door to door, but cold calling people, that was a challenge. And, but long story short, in that experience, I learned a lot about myself and grew. And I decided that, you know what, I want to teach because I have a heart of a teacher, which is important. I will say this, regardless of your background, whatever major you just come from, when you go into this business, whether you're, like I said, you're in the property and casualty space, which is dealing with protecting people's stuff or investments or insurance or financial planning or whatever, having the heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesperson, is what's important, because that's what your clients want. They want somebody who's going to take the time to hear them, to understand them, and to not just, people don't like to be sold. They like to buy, but they don't like to feel pressure and they don't like to be sold. So if you educate people and you ask great questions and get feedback, people will naturally help you help them as you work together. Isa, does that make sense?
Yes.
And Farrell, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So after John Hancock did that, like I said, about 9 months, seemed like 9 years. But nonetheless, after that, a friend of mine, he said, why don't you put your resume out there? Well, I taught metro schools for about a year and some change as a full-time substitute school teacher. I love to teach. A friend of mine said, John, you got a lot of gifts and abilities, nothing wrong with teaching. Why don't you put your resume out there and see what happens? So I did. Next thing you know, I'm getting interviewed by 2 different departments at the same company. This guy named Dave Ramsey, he's on the radio. Have you guys ever heard of Dave Ramsey, Isa?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? What about you, Farrell?
No, well, maybe I do, but I'm just not quite like
Yeah,
well
the name
versed
sounds
yet.
familiar.
Okay, so Dave Ramsey is a nationally syndicated talk radio guy. He gives financial advice or coaching. He's not licensed like us or anybody else who's with NAIFA, but he is it's where education and entertainment meet on the radio. So a lot of people listen to talk radio. People would call in and with their issues, and he would solve their issues on the phone. And usually these conversations were 1 to 2 minutes, so they're really short and sweet. And so I was part of his live events team. So they'd actually, believe it or not, first year I was on the phone calling people, selling them on why they should host Dave live via satellite. The second year they put me on a plane. They would fly me out to a city, whether it's up in Pittsburgh or South Carolina or Spokane, Washington. I was like a traveling cheerleader of sorts. And I would fly out to that city and I would host a live event and get folks all excited about who Dave is and his message of hope and why they'd want to come to his 5-hour live event. And so I did that for about, like I said, 2 years total, and I enjoyed it. However, part of me, instead of working for the man, I wanted to be the man. I wanted to own my own business. I had that entrepreneurial spirit, which I remember from my days back when I was in college with my summer job. And so after working there for 2 years, a friend of mine from UT, from the University of Tennessee, she introduced me to a guy by the name of John Parham. And in 2005, I joined a company by the name of AXA. And what's great is AXA had very high standards. You had to pass your Series 7, your 66 life and health insurance license, all that good stuff, which I passed the first time through, barely, because when you guys get ready and if you decide to sit for your series exams for investments, nowadays they have a thing called SIE. Are you all familiar with the investment licensing process?
No, not really.
So it's like imagine taking a course that gets you halfway through the alphabet. So it's like A through M. And if you pass that, then you take N through Z in a second part, which is your series. So that's what they created, was like a starter on the investment path. And so we didn't have that back in the day. It was like, hey, there's a swimming pool. Why don't you jump in the deep end? I know that all of the words I was reading was in English, but it might as well have been in Russian or German or some other foreign language, because again, majored in political science with a minor in Spanish. We're talking about bonds. We're talking about calls and puts and options and all this investment stuff that was way above my head. But nonetheless, got through it, passed it. And for 10 years, I worked for AXA. My job was to call upon people. Most of my clients were realtors. I would drive out to a real estate office and help these realtors set up accounts to save money for retirement or to make sure they had money saved for taxes or had the bought the right amount of life insurance or long-term care insurance or any of whatever their needs were. And then after about 10 years, so I went from being basically my business was good, but it was transactional in nature. And so I shifted. I went from being transactional is like see a need, fill the need, next client, see a need, fill the need, next client, so forth. And that's fine. But the upside is this. I get to meet a lot of new people, I get to make a lot of new friends. And it's like every day is a new day. Every day is you don't know what's going to hold. It's an adventure. Downside is this: on January 1st, your whatever you sold in that prior year is hit the reset button. And there's that kind of that sinking feeling that I got to do. It's like you got to climb a mountain or roll a big heavy boulder up to the top of the mountain. And then on January 1st, that ball rolls back down to the bottom, and then you're having to roll it back up. If you guys ever heard of the Greek story of Sisyphus, it was that same kind of idea where you're restarting every year. After 10 years, I'm like, okay, I want to do financial planning. I don't want to just sell products. So I made a shift to another company called Guardian. And that's when I made the shift over to non-fee-based financial planning. What we did, we talked about everything from your home mortgage to cash flow planning, using a comprehensive software program. And it was fantastic. And I was part of a team. So when clients did purchase investments, we would cost share. Well, I did that for about 4 years, and I realized that, you know what, I really want to get compensated for my time. And so I made a shift to the company I'm today, which is Mass Mutual. Started with them back in 2019. And there I learned how to do what's called fee-based planning. So nowadays, I actually charge a fee for my time. My fees range from $3,000 to $24,000, depending upon the complexity of the client and their needs. And so a person a year, so if you think about the math, that's about $250 a month. For them to have a professional advice from somebody who's been in the business 19 years, if they're a right fit for me and I'm a right fit for them, they're not going to find anybody on the planet who's going to care more about them and their situation than I will, to help them get them closer to their ideal. And what's great is through accountability, through access, and through planning, we actually put together a game plan and then systematically check in with folks along the way to make sure that at the end of the year, when we look up, and we look back at the last 12 months, we can see where the needle has moved in the right direction as we've moved together. So to overarch the big picture, again, went from selling long-term care insurance to old people, which is when you can't take care of yourself, to working for Dave Ramsey, the guy on the radio, to being a investment insurance guy. I got the licenses, but I was product transactional in nature, to doing comprehensive planning, to go into fee-based planning. Do you guys see the path so far in my career, Farrell? Did you catch all that?
Yeah, I think I'm very impressed by the way like you built your reputation, I guess, to be able to charge like, that amount of money. I think like that's something to be like learned about.
Yes, and we'll definitely talk more about that. At the end of the day, when you're new in the business, you're like, what do I know? And by the way, I have always dressed in a suit and tie. The bow tie is a thing I picked up in college. I know nowadays people don't dress up, but because I have such a young face, I decided I can't grow a beard. A lot of my peers, they would grow these nice beards, which would make them look older, but I'm facially haired and paired. I couldn't grow a beard if I wanted to, even a mustache. I mean, now Zach can grow a mustache. True story, Zach? Yeah, Zach once had a mustache. It actually looked really cool. But I can't grow facial hair. And so what I do is I just dress up and I show up and I suit up and I'm all in. So that gives you a big picture of my backstory. Let's move on. So when it comes to career options, we actually have 3 different options we're going to look at today. First one is what's called an insurance agent. Second one is a financial advisor. Third one is a financial planner. So let's talk about those 3. An insurance agent, there's different types of insurance agents. The first one's known as property and casualty. This is, for example, like Allstate, State Farm. Have you guys ever seen that commercial with the mayhem guy who's riding on top, and he's like depicting something that could really happen bad to your stuff? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yes, I've seen his commercials.
Yeah. So that's what these guys or gals do, is they sit down with somebody and say, look, let's take a look at you. Let's make sure that you're insured. Heaven forbid anything bad happens to you, you're going to be fine. And let's also take a look at your stuff. Let's make sure that your stuff is protected. So if you got a fire or accident or whatever, that you're after you've paid your deductible, which is your way of covering some of that cost, the insurance company steps up and they pay for the rest to make sure that everything is good. There's also people that do life insurance. Life insurance is the cornerstone of most solid financial plans. And here's the reason why. If you play by the rules, you live a long life, your family, your kids, everybody's happy. You're saving money all throughout your lifetime. However, sometimes bad things happen to good people. Sometimes you wake up one morning and you're in your mid-20s and you got a pain in your side and you go to the doctor and the doctor says, hate to break it to you, but after they do a bunch of scans, it turns out you've got cancer. And at that point, you've got a family that's counting on you, or perhaps maybe you're a single person about to get started in the real world, but you're uninsurable because there's 3 days. There's 3 days in any person's life: the day they're born, which you guys, I don't remember the day I was born, but you get the day you're born, the day you pass away, which we don't know when that's going to come, but we know it's going to come at some point. And the third date is the date in which you become uninsurable. And then like I said, some people it's in their 20s, some people it's in their 30s. At some point, your body says, I'm not going to be as healthy as I once was. And as we get older, that day becomes more and more. Have you guys, Isa, Farrell, have you had any of your parents, as they've gotten older, their bodies have changed and they've got to a point where they had to take more medications or they had to go to the hospital for something? Do you guys have any experience in that?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And you have to ask yourself, at what age is that going to happen in me and my story? So whether you decide to go into a career and become a NAIFA member and actually do our business, at the minimum, I'm going to strongly encourage you guys, as soon as you graduate from college and you're in the real world making real money, go and make sure you have health insurance through your employer. Make sure that you have a strong emergency fund, about 3 to 6 months of expenses. And also make sure that you get a bunch of cheap, or budget-friendly, I should say, term life insurance. Because one thing is certain, again, we don't know when we come uninsurable, but you can always convert it, which that's a conversation for a different day. Or you could always cut off pieces if you don't need it and throw it away later. But once you become uninsurable, whatever you have is whatever you have. And there's some people that perhaps are like type 1 diabetics, which was really hard for them to get life insurance because they have what's called a pre-existing condition that would cause them to be more likely to pass away younger than older. Isa, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Carol, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where you don't think about it, but it's important. Along with life insurance, another product that oftentimes life insurance agents offer their clients, it's called income protection. And income protection is real simple. It's you're protecting your future income. Isa, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to be a potential employer, and I'm going to hire you for 2 jobs. And I want you to tell me which job you want to take, job A or job B. Okay. So here's job A offer. You ready? So job A, you come to work for me. And again, you're in Houston. So let's say I'm going to pay you $100,000 a year to work for me. Okay. If you're working, you show up, you do your job, I'm going to pay $100,000 a year. But if you don't work because you got sick or hurt, no fault of your own, but you just can't work, I'm going to pay you nothing. So that's job A. Job B, I'm going to pay you $98,000 a year if you work and show up and do your job. But if something happens outside of your control and you got sick or hurt and you can't work, I'm going to pay you $60,000 a year. So which job would you take? Would you take job B, $100,000 and 0, or job B, $98,000 and $60,000?
Personally, job B.
Okay, yeah. So
yeah,
why job B?
Because especially, I guess, because I'm kind of going through that as well with like health issues, and having to like be out of work because of your health issues. It does economically like take a hit, and you can't just stop working. So if I'm offered opportunity through a job where they would pay for me to also get treated for whatever injury or condition I have, then most likely job B. And it's still enough, at least in Houston, to still be able to pay rent.
Farrell, how about you? Job A or job B?
Yeah, I think I agree with like Isa. I think the flexibility is nice, and also I think the benefits is also like very useful. It's one of those where you don't know like when you're gonna need it, but you're gonna need it like someday. Yeah, so I do agree with that.
Yeah. And here's the crazy thing. You guys ready for this? Hope you're sitting down. Did you know there's a statistical likelihood about 35% between now and age 65 that this is a reality, that you got sicker and you can't work, and you're not going to work for several months, maybe even a year or longer. And the idea of and you can get income protection or long-term disability insurance through your employer, but you can also purchase it on your own. So if words of advice from your Uncle John, Buy as much budget-friendly term life insurance and talk to an insurance agent. And again, protect your income while you're young and healthy, because it's based upon your age when you take out the policy. So if you're young and healthy, it's next to nothing. And you're protecting your income between now and age 65. And if you made $100,000 a year and you were 25 and you're 65, so that's 40 years of working, right? So 40 years times $100,000 a year is $4 million. So Isa, did you realize that you're worth, if you make $100,000 a year and you're age 25 and you work for 40 years, that over your lifetime, you're going to make $4 billion? That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
And if I told you that maybe it may cost you like $50 a month to protect your income, or $100 a month, or whatever it is, it's based on your health and underwriting, all that good stuff, to protect, you spend $100 a month to protect $4 million. To have job B all day long, people would say, where do I sign? So that's one of those things where I want to encourage you. This is what an insurance agent does. Has a meaningful conversation with the clients. We just real world. This is the conversation I have with my clients about we need to get into life insurance protection. But long story short, I show you why they value the importance of income protection. And so as an insurance agent, what I would do is I would educate you about the value of properly protecting your largest wealth building tool, which is your ability to get up and go to work and your income that comes along with it. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what a life insurance agent does. And health insurance kind of falls into, there's folks who are in that space as well, and there's other types of insurances. So at the end of the day, these folks are more transactional in nature, but you got to find your light. You got to find your groove. And there's some people that just love selling insurance. They don't want to talk about investments. They don't want to do advice or financial planning. They just want to sell insurance, and they're great at it, and they're brilliant at it, and they just love it. The next category over what's called a financial advisor. Now, I'll be short and sweet with this, and won't get into the weeds, but there's two different ways you can look at being a financial advisor. One is with a broker dealer, and a broker dealer is like the company that I work with, which is Mass Mutual. I am an investment advisor representative, and I'm also a registered representative with a broker dealer, which means that I actually offer insurance and investments with the company. A registered investment advisor mainly works in the investment space. And they're typically independent. Both of these, there's no wrong answer. They're just two different tracks, and they're basically governed by two different groups. One's governed by FINRA. The other one's governed by the SEC. For the sake of our time today, I won't go into great details about these two, but long story short, know that as soon as you go from being an insurance agent and you bring investments into the mix, that's when your life gets a lot more fun, and you can help more clients because you can help them both protect their wealth as well as build their wealth through investments. But with that also comes regulation. With that comes a level of complexity. So be aware that as you enter into the investment space, you're not just like what people do on their phone, day trade, try to trade stocks. It's not about that. It's about putting wealth back and seriously building wealth over time. That I'm on, like I said, the broker dealer side, and I love it. And that's my choice. The next category is the third category we're going to talk about today, which is a financial planner. And there's two categories here. The fee only is a person that only charges for their time. The fee-based charges for their time, and also if a person needs to buy a long-term disability, also known as income protection, or term life insurance, or permanent life insurance, or long-term care insurance, or let's say they're in their 50s and they want to bubble wrap or put protections around their retirement nest egg, and they want to purchase what's called an annuity or a deferred variable annuity because they want to basically create a pension-like benefit that'll provide them with income for the rest of their life that they can't outlive. Those kind of solutions get paid a commission. And so what I do is, as a fee-based advisor, I charge for my time, and I let my clients know I'm going to act in a fiduciary capacity where I'm going to leave you better than the way I found you. That's one. And whether they implement with me or not, that's their choice. 85% of people, if not more, implement these solutions with me because they're like, heck, if I'm paying you $3,000 and you're telling me what to do, and I trust you and I've given you all my numbers, why would I take all this information and go find somebody else to implement it? Obviously, you're my guy. So let's go ahead and take care of these things. Not to mention, when I get to the last part of the planning, go through the planning process, and we get to the implementation schedule, I'm just going down the list. It's like, I'm building the house. I'm like your architect, and we basically built this house now, or we've drawn up a blueprint. Now let's go build the house together. Do you want me to help you build it? And they say, absolutely. Great. Instead of I'm a general contractor. I'm going to go get all these subcontractors to put up the framing and put in the plumbing and all that good stuff. And so that's all part of the process. So fee only is you're just basically the architect and you're not doing any of the other stuff too. And you're charging a fee for your investments. And in both of these, we gather what's called assets under management, which are investments. I want to press pause real quickly and ask you guys, what questions do you guys have about the financial advisor, those two, or being a financial planner? Isa?
Right now, I can't really think of any. I'm still, because I wrote notes down.
A lot. Yeah, hopefully you guys are taking notes. And like I said, yeah, you're always welcome to follow back up with me later and we can talk more about you. Farrell, do you have any questions about what I've covered?
Yeah, I guess my question is, what are like the difference when it comes to like skill set that you need to have in order to fulfill like those two roles, or is it just basically like the same?
So great question. The number one reason why you guys want to hear a secret? I'm about to help you guys take a year out of your onboarding process into this industry. Do you know why most people fail in the first year or so? Take a guess. Isa, what do you think?
Let me see. I'm not too sure. Could it be? I don't know. I'm gonna pass it to Farrell. I'm not too
Okay,
sure.
Farrell, how about you?
If I were to give like a guess, it's just like their inability to like just making sales at the end of the day, or like finding clients.
There you go. You're on the right track. So most people, the reason why they fail is they forget what their first job is. When you're new in this business, it's not to sit down and memorize every fact about this business there's a lot of people that have strong head knowledge, but they don't know how to connect with people. Think of it this way. Imagine a bicycle, and a bicycle has two wheels. The back wheel is your technical wheel. And that's if you're pushing a bike, if you're actually riding a bike and you're pedaling, that's going to drive your pedaling is going to drive that back wheel, which is going to give you thrust and it's going to move you forward, right? Does that make sense? Isa?
Yes.
Okay. The front wheel is your interpersonal wheel. That's your relationship, your soft skills, your ability to connect with people, your ability to prospect. And so that's going to be the one that's going to direct your path. So your job is when you're new in the business is realize you want to partner up with a mentor, somebody who's been around longer than you have. And hopefully they've been in the business 5 years or 10 years or longer. And they show you and they mentor you and you split commissions. Maybe you start off and you're starting off and they do 100% of the presentations and you just sit there and watch. And then you do 25% and they do 75. Then you do 50-50. Then you do 75 and they do 25. And before you know it, they're sitting there and you're doing all the work and you're learning as you go. And then you take the training wheels off and you're riding your bike by yourself. But the big thing is this, it's getting in front of people. The reason why people usually they're not successful in the first year is because they don't have enough opportunities to learn from their mistakes and to grow. If you're playing baseball and you only get one time at the plate to play or to swing at the ball and you strike out and you decide this isn't for me, well, it's because you're only at the plate one time. But imagine if you got batting practice. Imagine if you got to the plate time and time and time again and you saw 100 people over a period of a year, you're going to have a higher likelihood of being more successful than a person who sees 100 people over 4 years because you're doing 4 times the work in a shorter period of time. Isa, does that make sense?
Yes.
So prospecting, getting people in front, that's what your job is in your first year in business. So Farrell, to your point, if there was anything that I could coach you guys on besides getting yourself in, you have to eat your own cooking. You got to take care of yourself first. So when you join the company, sit down with them. Hey, I talked to John, he said, or JDR, and he said, I need to get some cheap term insurance. They're going to he's exactly right. And I want to protect my income. Well, we don't offer that. Great. I need to find, because some companies don't. I need to go find a company that does. Don't go work with a different company, but go and find somebody like my buddy Corey. Basically, that's all he does is disability insurance, and you get partnered up with him. He protects your income. Great. Now you're off to the races. But then the second thing you need to focus on is learning how to talk to people and how to prospect. You can do that through referrals. You can do that going to events and networking. You can do it through cold calling. There's different ways to prospect, but that's your number one priority in your first year in the business. Scheduling appointments, getting people in to meet with you, to talk to you. and have the older advisor, whoever that person is, your mentor, walk you through the process as you learn how to get this business going. Make sense? So we covered all these different things where you guys can work: insurance agency, a broker dealer, independent broker dealer, wirehouse, and banks. The wirehouse and banks, I have no knowledge of it. In my story, I was never at a wirehouse and I never worked for a bank. I know that bankers, they keep bankers' hours, and that was always kind of nice. People like that idea until I sat down with a banker friend of mine many years ago and mentioned the same product that I could offer through my broker dealer channel and how much I made off of a commissionable event. Same sale, same product, but it was like night and day. Like I would make $3,000 and he would make $500. Same solution, but basically the commissions were much lower on the bank side. But with the bank side, they got paid a salary and they got to show up at 8, leave at 4. And so do you want to be a W-2 employee and work for somebody else? Bank. If you want to be an entrepreneur and grow your own business, take the path of being an insurance professional or being an investment person or financial planner. Does that make sense? Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. So the challenges of being in this business are the following. One, most advisors cannot clearly articulate their value proposition. What makes you unique? My job for my clients, my unique value proposition is this. I sit down with people, have a meaningful conversation with them about their values, what's important with them, and I help them align their finances with their values and their goals and their dreams and their ambitions and what they want to accomplish. And then I like to reverse engineer and look back and figure out what strategic steps we need to take to lead you to that destination. So that's the unique thing. And the fact that I do it with the heart, and I have not just head level, but heart level conversations. And my enthusiasm is just contagious. And people are like, I trust you. I like you. You're like a grown-up Eagle Scout. Yeah, sure. You look kind of like Orville Redenbacher or Pee Wee Herman with the bow tie. I don't know if you guys know who those two people are. I don't, or no, Sherman, I guess there, or maybe there's, I'm trying to think of who's a modern day bow tie person, Farrell, that you know of. Your generation, what would be somebody that wears bow ties on TV? What's the, do you know? Isa, do you have a?
I have like no person in mind.
Okay, yeah,
I
because
think wouldn't, I'm not sure if he wears a bow tie. Young Sheldon?
yeah, that's it. Young Shelton. Yeah, Shelton.
Oh yeah, from sitcom. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Because I'm trying to think of, because I say Orville Redenbacher, the popcorn guy. You have no clue what I'm talking about, right?
No.
No. Or the Pringles guy. You're like, who? So, yeah. So anyway, so most advisors don't realize who they are. You need to figure out your value. Figure out what you're for, what your values and your priorities are, what you want out of life, and then go pursue a career and that helps you align your daily actions with those people that you want to do life with. Second, most advisors or people in this business, they don't have systems. They're not consistently filling up the funnel of finding new prospects. And again, your priority number one is finding new prospects in this business, right? Not being the smartest person, because that's where most advisors fail, is that they feel like, you know what I need to do? Memorize this book of facts and then just throw up all over my clients, word vomit, all this information. And they just sit there and they just feel overwhelmed and they don't buy because they're confused. But at the end of the day, if you learn how to ask quality questions and have meaningful conversations about what they value, their family, what's important to them, before you know it, they're like, hey, I want some of that. How do I sign up for it? Like, great, let me get you the paperwork. That's how we get things going. Okay. Third is no true client service model. And the idea there is when people say yes and they're part of the family, is there a process? And then once they're in the family and they're a client, what are you doing to love on your clients? For me, after I go through the planning process, we go grab a bite to eat, whatever, or we go do something that's fun for my clients. It's called a celebration meeting where we get out. I usually am not wearing we go out to dinner. I may wear a shirt and tie, but otherwise we're going to go do something fun. And usually I'll bring my wife Kelly with me. So it's like them and whoever's important to them or their spouse, and then my wife and I, and the four of us, we just go have fun. Isa, why do you think I would bring my wife when we do a celebration meeting? Why do you think I'd bring her to our client meetings?
Would it be, I'm not sure, would it be for someone?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm trying to think because I'm trying to help find a way to articulate it. Would it bring, I feel like if I was asked that question, I would read my friend. Would it be to be more social,
Yes.
more
Yeah.
interactive, and more personal, I guess?
Yep. So
I
at
feel
the
like
end of no, you nailed it. That's exactly it. My wife is my secret weapon. People like me, they love my wife. And once they meet her, they're like, okay, John is well-rounded. This is my guy who's going to handle all my money and do all the numbers, and I trust him. And I can tell that he's a normal person just like me. And there's that kind of that connection. So when I say family, they're part of my family. And so we laugh together, we cry together. When things are great, we're there. When things get sideways or things are challenging, I don't want them to hide from me. I want them to pick up the phone knowing that I'm a safe place to connect with. And if they see me as a normal person, they feel more comfortable to be relaxed around me and not be uptight. Because I believe people crave authentic relationships. They just don't know how to get there because they go through life with their guard up because they're taught not to talk to strangers. And I encourage folks to let their guard down, be your authentic self. And as we do life together, it's easier, I think, from a stranger, for a client to become a friend sometimes than from a friend to become a client. So these people that are strangers become clients, but then become lifelong friends because we get to the heart of what matters real quick in their process. Make sense?
yes.
Zach, I just looked at the time. Are we a 30-minute or an hour?
We're an hour. We typically go to about 40 quarter till to then kind of go to questions, but
Okay. All right. Good. The fourth reason that people aren't successful, the challenge is no residual income. Back to the life insurance sales process, if it's transactional, you miss out on, unless some products have residual income, and most of them do, but it's really small. When it comes to investments, most investments have what's called either trails, or when you get a fee for your assets under management, and that comes with time and you actually build up income. So as you're building your business, much like passive income is key, whether it's through real estate ownership, through rental properties, business ownership, or through investments, make sure you objectively look at your business, work on your business, not just in your business. So as you're helping your clients meet their needs, make sure that you're structuring income revenue streams that are also helping you stay in the business long term. Farrell, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think yeah, I heard it somewhere before, like taking care of your clients and like he will take care of you.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And people can smell when you're insincere. They can smell when you're trying to sell a product and you're just pushing. Versus a person's like, look, I care about you and I want to help you. I mean, people know what they know. It's what they don't know that gets them in trouble. Or those things they think they know that are wrong that gets them in trouble. And that's where I do is like, why go through life through trial and error when we can make this process a lot quicker and easier. I'm going to share with you all the things about your situation, how we can make the right fit and make the right choices, knowing that your life and your situations will change. 2 years from now, you're going to be a totally different place than you are today. And so that's why we do recurring reviews, just to make sure that we're always on track to help people move in the right direction. So from a financial planning standpoint, again, you're helping people with more than just buying a product. That's the focus of financial planning. So I'm a big fan of it. If you Google anything these days, there's plenty of information. And so people don't have a lack of knowledge, but what they do is they have a lack of wisdom. Wisdom equals knowledge plus experience. So if a person they can Google anything and get the answer, but the question is, there's a million different options out there for investments. Which mutual fund is right for me? Which investment strategy is right for me? I hear Dave Ramsey, my previous employer, say I should do this. I was reading an article on Motley Fool, and they said I should do this. I was reading an article online or I was watching the news the other day, and they said this. In a world full of white noise, and it's just a bunch of static, a quality financial planner, and this is what you guys will do in your future career. You're going to be still and listen to people, and you're going to take copious notes, and then you sit down, and you're like, okay, based on what I heard you, Issa, I heard you say the following, boom, boom, boom. Is that right? And you're like, yeah. It's like, and it sounds like based upon the financial plan that we looked at, these are your needs that you want to accomplish over the next year or 2 or 3, right? Yes. Well, it looks like there's a gap between where you are today and where you want to be. And to fill that gap would require the following actions that we need to take. We need to get estate planning in order. We need a proper term life insurance. We need to make sure that you're saving towards retirement and you're saving X number of dollars per month and that your investments are balanced and so forth. Again, people don't want to buy products. It's like people don't want to buy the drill. They want to buy the hole that the drill creates in the wall or in the piece of wood. Does that make sense, Farrell?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big picture. And then from a financial advisor versus planner, financial advisor is a generic term. A person does financial planning, typically is either a CFP, a certified financial planner, or a chartered financial consultant, a CHFC. I have 2 designations in this business, which is an RICP and LACP. Retirement Income Certified Professional, and LACP, which I picked up through NAIFA, is the Life and Annuity Certified Professional. And so these are designations that come after your name. Most clients have no clue what the letters mean. It just lets the clients know that, hey, this person's serious. They're committed to this industry, and they're committed to personal and professional growth. And so that's a lot of fun for a person to better understand this industry and also know how to better serve their clients, and usually potentially can lead them to the more effective you are in communicating, your productivity goes up as well as your ability to help more people more efficiently. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. From a financial planning, from prospecting, again, challenge number 1 was value proposition. We covered that. Prospecting, find clients who are attracted to your value proposition. Farrell, there's something special about you. Issa, there's something special about you. And that thing is this: you are the only Farrell and you're the only Issa on this planet. Just like fingerprints, there are no 2 fingerprints are alike. True story, right?
Yes.
Well, good or bad, there's only one JDR on this planet. Good or bad, there's only one Farrell or one Issa on this planet. And so figure out what makes you you and own it, and be the best version of you could possibly be, and create a business model that attracts people that you want to work with, and also that you can add value to their life, because that's the reason why people pay you. They have a big stack of cash. They look at you and they look at the value you're offering. And if that big stack of cash in their mind or what they have in their wallet or checking account is greater than the value you add, they're not going to buy. It's when these 2 numbers come into alignment, and when the amount of money they're paying and the value they perceive is on par, at that point they're like, okay, I'll buy. But when you do this, and the amount of money they're paying is here and the amount of value they're receiving is up here, that right there, that's the wow factor. This is a whoa. This is okay, I'll work with you. This is the wow. And the more people that you can create the wow factor for, the more introductions or referrals you'll get. And then people call you up, say, hey, I got this friend you need to meet. That's like the biggest compliment, is when people call you up out of the blue, say, I'm a raving fan of yours. I can't tell enough friends about you. You get the idea. So know your value. And so that when you get to this situation, because when people say no, NO, is because it's based on what they know, KNOW. So the reason why people oftentimes say no at this point is because cash here, value down here. But when that knowledge is greater than their value, and they're like, wow, the value's up here and how much I'm paying for it. Like if I told you, Farrell, are you a car guy, Farrell?
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine I'm in your front, I'm at your house, and I've got a car in your driveway. And I come to you and I say, hey, Farrell, I'm selling this car. It's $100,000. That's all I told you. What do you say? Do you want to buy it? And in your mind, you're thinking, no way, right?
Yeah.
But what if I told you it was I'm going to make up a name of a car because I'm not a car guy, a Lamborghini, one of these like crazy expensive, like $1 million car. If I told you that car could be resold for $1 million, you could flip it. What would you do? You would find a way to beg, borrow, steal to find that $100,000 to turn on to buy that car and turn on and instantaneously sell it, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Same thing. That value is up here. And I told you a car, you thought this because you're thinking it's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 car. Why would I pay $100,000? But once I told you what kind of car it was and how valuable it was, in your brain, you're like, what do I got to do to find the money? Same thing when it comes to advice. Same thing when it comes to the value that you add to your clients. They have to understand the value. Once they get it, and the way you get that value is through the company you work with, the people you work with, your team, your process, the experience. Most people these days, they want experience. That's why they travel to different countries. That's why they try different foods. Some people buy stuff, but most people, they buy experiences. They want to experience life. Well, create an experience when they come in. Don't be like everybody else. Spend more time focusing on them. Let me continue real quickly for the sake of time. So prospecting, introductions, you got business owners, you got high achieving professionals and pre-retirees. These are groups that I have a tendency to focus on. Again, right where it says create that wow experience, that's exactly what we're trying to do. The bigger the the value is above how much they're paying. That's the wow factor. Client service model, again, it should be built into your financial planning process. You shouldn't change up your model for every client. It should be the same cheesy, corny jokes. The client you're in front of, they don't know you tell the same joke because they're a different client. But to you, when it's systematized, what happens is you're able to scale and you're able to not think about what you're going to say. You're paying more attention to what they're saying. And you're not just waiting for them to stop talking so you can start talking. You're actively listening because you know your part. Make sense, Isa?
Yes.
Okay. Through a service model, you can help more clients, and it also creates the need for renewal. That's why people come back and they renew their plans because they're like, you're adding so much value. Why would I say no to renew my plan every year? Residual income. So assets under management means when a person gives me their money, they say they give me $1 million and I charge 1%. So 1% of $1 million. Quick math. Isa, do you have a calculator on you?
No, I do not.
Farrell, do you have a calculator on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I have a $1 million and I get 1% of that, how much revenue do I generate off of 1% of 1 million is what?
10,000.
$10,000. So off of that client, I make $10,000 that year. So if you look at my example right here, if I had $20 million in assets under management, do you see that?
Yeah.
Real quickly, the revenue starts to add up. And so the idea is you want to continue to grow your book of business. You want to continue to grow your assets under management. You can also charge financial planning fees. So let's say I had 100 planning fees clients every year that I charge $3,000 for them to have me on retainer, for them to have me be their financial professional, much like an attorney. And we do reviews, we keep them on track. So 100 clients times 3,000 a year is 300,000 in revenue. So real quickly, you can see that if by being super intentional, by growing your assets under management and by growing the number of clients and the annual recurring fees that you come with it, you build up a lucrative business that allows you to hire assistants to make sure that all the cool things that you want in life, like bow ties, or traveling to visit friends in St. Louis, or doing all the fun things you like to do in life, you get to do those things because you built up a business where you're adding value to your clients, but it's also providing a standard of living for your enjoyment as well. Sound good, right? So as we land the plane, we look at the financial process and the steps of the financial plan. So the first thing when you're doing, you connect with the person, you have that initial meeting where you get to know their story. That leads to a data gathering where basically you're asking them a ton of information. For me, I would give them a checklist. I use what's called the 48-hour challenge, which I expect all their information to come in 48 hours. This weeds them out of the process. Either they're going to be all in or all out at that point. But usually they're all in. They pay a fee. We do the paperwork. We then take that information. I send it to my financial planning department. They come back with a financial plan. We sit down and we review the facts to make sure everything looks right. And then we send it back to the plan and they come back with the financial plan. And then I do, which is called the plan presentation, where I sit down and we go through it's like, imagine we're in a plane flying at 30,000 feet above the town we're looking at. And as we look at different aspects, we would then zoom in and take a look at what's going on in this town. And do you have any questions about your cash flow? Do you have any questions about health insurance or life insurance? Or item by item, we're kind of flying over. And if they get it, we move on to the next topic because there's a bunch of different things we're going to look at. But if they're like, hey, time out. I don't know anything about life insurance. John, can you take a minute to explain to me the difference between term life insurance and permanent life insurance? And I can say, sure. Term is like renting an apartment. It's very budget friendly, but it's just pure protection. There's no equity. Just like when you rent an apartment, you got a place to stay, but you're not building equity. You're paying rent to somebody else, right? Well, with permanent insurance, it's like owning a house. You're building equity over time, which is called in life insurance terms, cash value. And that equity can be used for many different things that you can use, whether it's to help supplement income in retirement, to help pay for kids' college, for emergency fund purposes, as a non-correlated asset when the stock market's down, which historically it's down every 5 years. So if you don't want to if you're in retirement, you don't want to pull money out of your retirement nest egg, you can pull money out of that. You get the idea. So that's the implementation schedule, which is next, basically where we implement all the solutions. And then we go into ongoing reviews, which happen every quarter. So whether it's the initial planning process to investment planning, protection, to year-end tax planning, wash, rinse, repeat, and we keep doing this. And before you know it, over the next 5 years, people wake up and they're a new person in a new time. And they're just like, how the heck did I get here? It's because they lived life intentionally with people they care about, that care about them, that care about their situation, that they trust. So as we wrap things up, again, this of course, reviewing the 5 key areas. 5 key areas that I review with my clients are protection. Well, first is their health, then protection, assets, liabilities, and cash flow. The reason why I check in on health is because of what happened with COVID. People's health has changed, their mental health has changed. And if a person has cancer, our conversation's about to change versus I'm healthy and I know it, my face surely shows it. It's a different situation. The implementation, basically check in on a every other month basis to make sure we're keeping on track. We do quarterly review meetings to make sure we're updating our financial planning software to keep them on track. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes with it. But remember, they paid me $3,000 to $24,000 a year to do this kind of work. I'm not their guy. And we're going to work because we're being super intentional. We're going to win in this space. So to land the plane, my previous employer, Dave Ramsey, talks about the fact that we live in a culture full of hares, but the tortoise always wins the race. So Aesop's fable, if you guys remember the story of the tortoise and the hare, the moral of the story is this: slow and steady wins the race. Oftentimes, folks are trying to get a quick buck. They're trying to invest in Bitcoin, or they're trying to day trade, and they wake up years later disillusioned and frustrated. It's because no one took the time to show them through systematically saving the same amount of money through dollar cost averaging. My investments become less and less to invest in, and my value grows through the time value of money. And I wake up 20, 30 years from now, a millionaire, and I've got plenty of money because I was intentional along the way. Again, it's the tortoise that wins, not the hare. So with that, I turn the floor over to you guys, and we got like 2 minutes. We're almost done. So Farrell, let's start with you. What questions do you have for me?
Yeah, I think in terms of the content, you cover it like really well. I guess I have more of a administrative question. I was wondering like if you could probably like send a copy of the PowerPoint slide so we can like take a look at it afterwards,
Sure, of
if
course.
you don't mind. Yeah, and also I guess my second question is there is a chance that I might not be able to make into the live session for every single session. If that's the case, like how can I access like the video on demand?
That's a Zach question, Zach.
Yeah, so we are recording them, and I do believe that we do send them out. Going to the live sessions is obviously going to be the best. You can get a lot more through it, but we I don't know how soon we get them out typically, but we do typically do that.
Oh, so like I can expect like maybe like an email.
Yes,
All
exactly.
right,
And
perfect.
Farrell, what I'm going to do is I'm going to email this PowerPoint to Zach, and so he's your point of contact, and for all things regarding this. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, Issa, you're up, or Nini, I should call you. What questions do you have, Miss Nini?
Yes. I because I'm like going through my notes, and it's really insightful actually. I think I learned a little bit more regarding what goes into just like beyond being an insurance agent, because I feel like I had just like this overall look of, oh, you buy an insurance, here you go, this is what it's going to cover, but I didn't know there was like so many things that went into just like providing advice to the clients and getting personal with the clients. So that was really informative. But in terms of like getting into the field, like where would you be able to start, or how does one start?
Sure. So I would recommend going, first things first, I would join NAIFA. And here's the reason why. Are you guys in a college or sorority, in a fraternity or sorority at your respective university?
No.
Farrell, are you in a fraternity?
Yeah, I'm in a professional business frat called DSP. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Okay, great. Why did you join that fraternity?
Because I don't know, I heard like, they have like a good career opportunities, and also I heard that the alumni like they have like jobs at like wonderful companies, and I just want to surround myself with, successful people, I guess.
So every reason you just mentioned is the exact same reason why a person should join NAIFA. Imagine you're young in this business and you join. I think it's like what, $50 a year? Is that right, Zach, for a college student? Yeah, which is nothing. I mean, if you do the math on that, what is that? It's like, I can't even do, it's like $4 a month, something like, it's $50. And you go to events, you learn, and then you go to like an event and you meet with other people, or you're actually start to get benefits. You start to network with other financial professionals in your area. And before you know it, they are always looking for people to join their industry. But the fact that you're willing to raise your hand and say, I'm in, I want to be part of the family, and you start to show up and they're like, wait a second, you're a college student? It's like, yeah. And I want to be like you when I grow up. Then you get to sample and interview different companies. And before you know, you find somebody that's like an older version of you. Perhaps they're about 20 years older. And, and you're just like, I see myself being like that person when I get older. For me, as a guy named John Parham, remember back in 2005 when I joined AXA? This guy is about 15 years older than me. And I looked up to him, and I still do to this day. And I'm like, I want to be like that guy when I grow up. And he's just doing a lot of things right. And so that's the cool thing about this industry. And he was one of those guys like, I need you to be a NAIFA member. And I said, yes, sir. And I haven't looked back since. So that'd be my first step, would be join NAIFA. 2 would be to attend NAIFA events where you get to network with other people. If you're in the San Antonio area, congratulations. Or in Houston, there are NAIFA folks all over Texas. Farrell, you're in San Diego. Actually, there's several people in the San Diego area. I'm not as knowledgeable but I know Zach does. But real quickly, it'd be really neat once you're part of the family to call a person up, and you call up a person that's been in the business for a while, that's a NAIFA member, and you say, hey, I'd like to buy a cup of coffee and learn more about your NAIFA experience. And then you just interview them. You get to sample, just like we did here. I was talking to JDR the other day. He did this presentation, and this basically, I want to learn more about the different field that you're in. Speaking of which, Issa, of all the different channels that I discussed, which one feels like the one you lean more towards? There's no wrong answer. What's your gut say?
Looking at it, broker dealer is really that's what intrigued me the most.
Yeah.
Especially in the way that you describe it, because I also feel like I tend to get really personal through customer service. So I feel like that would be something that would fit me or suit me the best.
Perfect. Farrell, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'll more of the insurance one,
Okay.
because I feel like, I don't know, like when you buy a car, you need like an insurance. When you rent an apartment, you need an insurance. I feel like it's a staple in our lives.
It is. And most states, you have to show proof of car insurance. So there's a need, there's automatically a baked in need there. And so yeah, there you go. So there's no wrong answer. And the good news is, whether you're in the property and casualty or insurance space, or you're a financial planner, NAIFA is a big tent that everybody lives underneath. And so that'll be my first step. Join NAIFA. 2, go to NAIFA events. And 3, whenever there's online events or Zoom events, or if you see my face or you see that, you're like, JDR, it's you. That bow tie is real. It really is real. It's like tying your shoes, But it come up to me and it's like, it's me. It's Issa. Do you remember me? I'm like, no, I don't, because you were a black screen with just your name at the bottom. And then you're like, remember Houston? I live in San Antonio. You're like, oh, Issa, hey, long time no see. You get the idea, right?
Yes.
All right. As we land the plane, any final questions for me?
I think you cover everything very well.
Yes.
I just need to do maybe a read through, and yeah, I'll reach you out in like LinkedIn or
Oh,
email
yeah.
if I have.
Yeah, Farrell,
Like
actually do that. Go to LinkedIn, look up John D. Richardson, Nashville. You'll see my face pop up. Yes, I'm wearing a normal tie, not a bow tie. It's the weirdest thing, but it is me. It's not an imposter. Click on the send me a connection. I will accept you guys. And then if you want to go through, this is the next step, Issa. If you want to go through my LinkedIn profile, all my friends, and pull up different people that you're like, hey, in the Houston area or in the Texas area, who are some of the people, you find out people that are in my NAIFA family. I'd be more than happy and actually honored to introduce you to these people, to help connect the dots, to help you take that first next best step towards the career of your choice. But you're right, be a LinkedIn friend first. And then, like I said, I'll walk you through that process. And I've done this for who knows how many other people too. And it's fun to take people and place them in there. No promises. Can't promise you that you get hired, but I can pick up the phone and put in a good word for you, and at least help you, shortcut the process and make it a lot easier to get you plugged into the right company sooner. Is that fair?
Yes, sounds good.
Cool. With that, Zach, I'm going to turn it back to you to wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, John. And thank you, Issa and Farrell, for being here today. Remember, there's sessions for the next 3 weeks as well. We have some great speakers lined up for those as well. So thank you. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll be in touch soon with the recording. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a great rest
Have
of
a
your
good
day.
one.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.